There is a moment, right before you buy something, that feels better than the thing itself. You have felt it. The cart is full, your thumb is hovering over the button, and for one electric second, you feel powerful, alive, in control. Then you tap, and within minutes, that feeling is gone. Not faded, gone. So you go looking for it again. A new tab, a new sale, a new little box that says, "Congratulations on your order." This is not a lack of willpower. This is not because you are bad with money. This is a loop wired into your brain hundreds of thousands of years ago, and then quietly weaponized against you by some of the most profitable companies in human history. Tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how that loop works, why earning more money will never shut it off, and the small, almost insultingly simple change that finally breaks it. Because the truth is uncomfortable. In this system, you were never the customer. You were the product being farmed. Let me introduce you to someone. We will call him the earner. He's not reckless. He works hard. He pays his bills. He is, by every reasonable measure, responsible. And yet, every single month, the money is just gone. Not lost to one big disaster, lost to 1,000 tiny taps. A coffee here, a gadget there, a late-night order he barely remembers placing. Picture his evening. He's tired. The day took everything he had. He lies down, and his thumb starts to move on its own. Scrolling, scrolling. And somewhere in that quiet glow, a small want lights up. And he feeds it. To understand why, we have to go inside his brain, to a tiny structure that runs on one specific chemical. That chemical is dopamine. Now, here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, the reward you feel when you finally get the thing. It is not. Decades of research point to something far more unsettling. Dopamine is not the chemical of having. It is the chemical of wanting. It does not spike when you receive the reward. It spikes in the moment just before, the anticipation, the chase. Think about what that means. Your brain gives you the biggest hit, not when the package arrives, but when you imagine owning it, when the cart is full, when the button is glowing and the future feels a little brighter than it did a minute ago. The purchase itself, that's almost an anticlimax. The high is already draining away by the time the box is at your door. You open it, and it's just a thing. A nice thing, maybe. But the magic you paid for is already gone. This is the spark, and it explains the most painful pattern in personal finance, the one nobody can seem to escape. You don't buy things because owning them makes you happy. You buy things because wanting them feels like being alive. So you chase the wanting again and again and again. And every time you catch it, it slips through your fingers. And the chase begins one more time. Here's the trap inside the trap. For most of human history, this was a gift. The same drive that makes you want one more purchase is the drive that once made us hunt, build, explore, and survive. Wanting kept our ancestors alive. But your ancestors lived in a world of scarcity. There was no infinite shelf. There was no glowing button at 2 in the morning. Your wiring was built for a world that no longer exists. And someone noticed. Now, here is where it stops being your fault. Because somewhere along the way, an entire industry figured this out. Meet the system. The system does not hate you. The system feels nothing about you at all. It simply studies you. It measures every tap, every pause, every hesitation. And then it removes them. Think about how spending used to work. You wanted something. You drove to a store. You waited in a line. You counted out physical cash and watched it leave your hand. Every one of those steps was friction. And friction was your protection. It gave the wanting time to cool. It gave your slower, wiser brain a chance to speak up before the money was gone. The system studied that friction and erased it, one layer at a time. First, it gave you one tap to buy. Then it saved your card so you never actually see the money leave. Then it learned the exact hour you were tired, lonely, or bored. And that is precisely when the notification arrives. But the system had a deeper trick. The same trick that makes a slot machine impossible to walk away from. Unpredictable rewards. When you open the app, you never quite know what you will find. Maybe a sale, maybe something new, maybe nothing. And that uncertainty, that maybe, fires your dopamine harder than any guaranteed reward ever could. The not knowing is the hook. You are not shopping anymore. You are pulling a lever. And then came the masterstroke. Buy now, pay later. The system discovered something brilliant and cruel. The pain of paying and the pleasure of buying could be torn apart in time. You get the dopamine spark today. The bill arrives in 4 quiet installments long after the high is gone. Your brain, which was built for a world of immediate consequences, simply cannot feel a cost that lives in the future. It does not flinch, so it does not resist. This is the architecture. A machine designed around a single goal. Keep the wanting switched on and remove everything that ever stood between the wanting and the spending. You are not weak. You are a person carrying a 100,000-year-old reward system standing in front of the most sophisticated persuasion engine ever built, an engine that knows your habits better than your own family does. That is not a fair fight.
But the loop has a second half, the part the advertisements never show you. Meet the debtor. The debtor is not a different person. The debtor is just the earner a few hundred sparks later. Because here is what compounds in the shadows. Every time you chase the wanting, you do not just spend money, you quietly raise the floor of what feels normal. The thing that thrilled you last month is background noise this month, so the dose has to go up. A bigger purchase, a nicer version, a new category entirely. Your brain adjusts to every new level of comfort and then asks for more. This is the cruelest twist of the entire loop. The high gets smaller while the cost gets bigger. And slowly, payment by payment, a quiet weight begins to gather behind him. A balance that grows while he sleeps. A minimum payment that buys him nothing except the right to keep owing. Look at him now. Shoulders bent, a stack of envelopes he has stopped opening. He's working harder than ever. He even got a raise this year. And somehow, he has less breathing room than the year before. This is the moment most people turn on themselves. They decide they are just bad with money. They feel ashamed. They promise to do better, and they mean it. But here's the part that keeps the door locked. Shame, it turns out, is its own kind of trigger. Because what do we reach for when we feel small and tired and bad about ourselves? The one thing that has always, reliably, given us a spark. So the debtor opens the app again, just for a little relief, just for one more hit of feeling alive. And the loop closes. This is why earning more will never save you. A bigger paycheck does not slow the loop, it just hands the loop more fuel. The wanting expands to fill whatever you can afford, and then it reaches a little further. You cannot out-earn a system that is designed to grow the exact moment you can pay for more. So how does anyone get out? Not with willpower. Willpower is your slow brain trying to win a sprint against your fast one, and it loses every time you are tired, which is exactly when the system strikes. The way out is not to fight the loop. It is to put the friction back. Meet the mentor. The mentor does not tell the earner to want less. That is impossible. Wanting is human. Trying to delete it is how every diet, every budget, every fresh start eventually falls apart. The mentor does something quieter. He teaches the earner to separate the wanting from the buying, on purpose. Here's the first move. We'll call it the cooling rule. When you feel the spark, you do not say no. Saying no is a fight, and fights are exhausting. Instead, you say, not yet. You put the item in the cart, and you walk away for one full day. What you're really doing is giving the dopamine time to fall on its own, because it always does. And when you come back tomorrow, most of the time, the wanting is simply gone. You realized you were never going to enjoy the thing. You were going to enjoy the chase. And the chase does not survive the night. The second move is to rebuild the friction the system stole from you. Take your card out of the apps, delete the saved details, turn off the one-tap checkout. Make yourself type the numbers in every single time. It sounds almost too small to matter, but every second of friction is a second your slower, wiser brain gets to speak. You're not relying on willpower anymore. You're relying on design. You're putting the speed bumps back on a road the system paved perfectly smooth. The third move is to starve the trigger at its source. Turn off the notifications, log out of the stores, take the apps off your front screen so the glowing button is no longer one bored tap away. You're not trying to resist temptation 100 times a day. You're removing the moment of temptation before it ever begins. And the fourth move is the deepest one. The mentor teaches the earner to ask a single question, out loud, in the very moment of wanting. Am I trying to own this, or am I just trying to feel something? Most of the time, it's the second one. You're tired, you're bored, you're a little empty, and the cart is the fastest way to feel full. And once you can see that clearly, the spell starts to break, because you can't be quietly controlled by a loop you finally learned to see. This is the reset. Not denial, not shame, not a strict budget you'll abandon in 3 weeks. Just friction, time, and one honest question placed back into the exact gap the system worked so hard to erase. And here is what waits on the other side. Meet the version of the earner who made it through. We will call him the wealthy. He did not get there by wanting less. He still feels the spark. He is human, and he always will be. He simply stopped letting the spark hold the wallet. The money that used to leak out in 1,000 tiny taps now flows somewhere quiet. It grows while he sleeps, the same way the debt once did, only now it is working for him instead of against him. And the strangest part? He is not white-knuckling his way through life. He is calm, because the war is over. The loop that ran him for years, he can simply watch it now without obeying it. So let me leave you with this. The next time your thumb is hovering over that glowing button and you feel that electric little rush, I want you to notice it. Do not judge it. Do not fight it. Just name it. Say to yourself, there it is, the spark, the oldest trick my own brain knows. And then, wait one day. That single pause, repeated, is the entire difference between the earner and the wealthy. It is the whole game. If this gave you a new way to see your own spending, do me a favor, subscribe and stay with this channel. We are slowly taking apart every invisible system that keeps ordinary people broke, one video at a time. Because once you can see the machine, you can finally stop feeding it. I'll see you in the next one.